How's it going, YouTube? We're back with another match from Digifest. This is round 4. These players were sitting next to me, so they are both undefeated at the moment. I believe this is a Gabubond deck going up against Jesmon. You know, my previous upload was a Gabubond as well, so maybe Gabubond still sticking around at least a little bit. It definitely does work with the hybrid package. There's quite a bit of synergy there. On the other hand, you know, Jesmon is still pretty scary. I wouldn't say it's one of the top decks, but it's definitely a very, very playable deck, and something you could definitely lose to. We see him start off with the Huckmon to try and get his pieces. I always think it's interesting when they choose to just hard drop it instead of going over the, you know, the baby. I'm not saying that one way is better than the other. It's just it's interesting to say the least. And just like that, he already built up all the way to the Savior Huckmon with the Greymon security +1, and he already dealt 1 damage, right? So very quickly, this Jesmon player could be popping off. His opponent, you know, needs a little bit of setup going into the Beowulf, but he's nothing to bounce. And it's kind of hard to tell, but you know, he's running the Gabu package. You'll see him play mats and things like that. Checking the security, no Tamer. Tamer would have been really bad there. There's the mat. Jesmon just goes straight into the Jesmon. He's ready to rock next turn. Yeah, so that Jesmon is potentially going to be swinging for 4 checks. And as the Gabubond player here, it's pretty scary, right? Like, what are you supposed to do? Maybe try and set up something so that on the turn back, you could do some shenanigans, but it's hard to say. Like, your board is likely not going to stick around, your security is going to be gone. And even though he had to hard play the Huckmon, he was able to find the pieces and go into the Jesmon relatively quickly. Now the other side of it is like, he went into the Jesmon, is he going to have the sisters? And you would assume that he does, but they don't always have them. He's going to do his, you know, damage and probably pass with a Tamer. Ooh, okay, I like the idea of Ice Wall. It's a great call there. You know, Jesmon wants to pop off, and if he's going to attempt to do so, it's at least going to be passing the turn. However, he does have the sister. It's the restand, 2 checks. Another mat is honestly not bad for the blue player. And then gonna just choke with the Judgment, which is interesting. You know, the Gabu is already on the board. He's not in racing, so he's not gonna get extra memory. And although he can warp into the Bond of Friendship, he couldn't do so unless he has 2 Hammer Sparks. And even then, he would still need 1 more swing after. So actually really well played from the Jesmon player. You know, he maneuvered around the Ice Wall beautifully. Still got damage, choke his opponent to 1, and then ensure that he can have game next turn. Now at this point, the blue player, he really doesn't not have an answer to the Jesmon at all, right? Like, there's no way to stun it. I don't think they're going to main deck anything that can potentially bounce it. The Howlin cannot freeze the Jesmon, does not get rid of the Savior, so he's still going to get the restand. 1 check. Davis would have gone a long way before. At this point, it's a little bit too late though. He still even gets, you know, the 2nd check, right? He still has the Greymon under it as well. Spark, not going to matter, and that's going to be game 1 for Jesmon. So that game was just, you know, a display of the power of Jesmon, how powerful the deck still can be. He did require a little bit of setup, but still was able to go into the Jesmon right away. I will say though that he did play it well. The Ice Wall was going to slow him down, and he played around it really, really solid. You know, like, still had to attack, still set up for an extra lethal, and then gave as little memory as possible over to the blue player. So for the blue deck, like I've been saying, like, okay, so Gabubond, like, Bond of Friendship is still an insane card. Matt is an amazing blue tamer, right? And like, it just makes sense that you're playing a bunch of blue tamers, and you could play the blue hybrid package, right? Now exactly what cards of the package you play is going to differ, you know. We might see like Tommy, Soren Joe and whatnot. But the idea is that, like, you know, you have that extra aggression, potentially the extra stun to buy you time for your Gabubond. And when everything goes according to plan, it's pretty sick. It could feel like really, really solid. But overall, I'm not sure. Like, is this Gabubond deck like a lot better than the Bt4 Gabubond deck? Or is this Gabubond hybrid mix any better than if you just played like the standard blue hybrid, right? And it's hard to say. I feel like the answer to both questions is no. It's not necessarily better. That said though, I still respect and understand people that want to play something else. Like I played Blue Hybrid this event, and my build was not the good cutter build. So I definitely get it, you know, like sometimes you just play what you like, or you have whatever reason for playing something. And I respect, you know, those people playing Gabubond. And hey, this guy's 3-0, right? So it's definitely working out for him so far. We're going into game 2. We're going to see, this time he does start with the Hawkmon right away and into the Greymon too. A pretty solid opener still. Going to see how the Gabubond player can respond. Try and memory choke him a little bit. I do like the Davis here. Like the Jesmon's best place to go into the Savior. So by putting him to 2, it's like if they go Savior, it's going to just pass turn, be very expensive. He's actually going to come out with the Greymon because he wants the Hawkmon swing. But I believe he doesn't find any sisters and the Greymon dies. So actually, like, pretty unfortunate for him. He does have the tide to set up though, but he is going to have to start building from scratch. And this time around, the blue player might get, you know, a bit more time to set up his own aggression. Gonna get the chip damage. Probably look to set up those mats. Yep. Actually passing over with Sora Joe. Kind of awkward. I feel like Matt would have been much better there, right? Like, Sora Joe's not gonna get a ton of value because the red player's probably not going to come out unless he has the full build. And it's actually kind of awkward memory-wise, right? Now this time around, he does have what appears to be the full stack. Once again, with that Greymon for the extra checks and the oh-so-clutch Savior Hawkmon, who is going to get limited as we walk into the BT8 meta. Hey, but if you're a Jesmon player right now, you can play 4 Savior Hawkmons. Maybe you got those pre-release ones, so go abuse them while you still can, right? I will say though, this is looking pretty good for Jesmon once again. Like the blue player had a chance to maybe set up some sort of combo or, you know, comeback. But the Sora Joe just was not really going to be cutting it. Digivolve into Korikaku is going to cost 3, which is pretty expensive. And he still doesn't have any mats set up. Plus now he doesn't have the Gabu and Raisin. Going to go into the Beowulf, which is kind of nice. Okay, Jesmon player still had to find more pieces though. Now he does find the Jesmon and his sister, so he's going to be guaranteed popping off next turn. Interesting that he opts to go into the Savior or the Bowhawk right away, instead of just going into the Jesmon in the back. I'm curious what his line of reasoning was on that one. Now this is the Bt4 Beowulf, the one that cannot be attacked if he's got hybrids underneath. This card is pretty good. I played it as a main. I made 2 of it in my deck and it worked out pretty well. I do like him. He's fantastic against green. And against decks like Jesmon that really want to swing through your Digimon, you can get a lot of value as well. Usually that Beowulf is better at the start of the game, where you want to just sit there chipping damage with jamming and he cannot be attacked back. This late into the game, I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to be able to do. And the blue player, like, he still has to set up that Gabubond, which requires him to, you know, play the mat and then have a Gabu waiting in the back, which as you can see, since he just raced out this turn, like, that's gonna take a while for him to get to that position. And since we know that Jesmon is coming next turn, I just don't know if he's gonna have the time, but maybe with a good security check, he might be okay. There's the Howlin', gonna freeze the Bowhawk, definitely get the swing. Pretty safe swing there. Really nothing horrible you can hit into. Ice Wall, once again, a good way to sort of slow down the Jesmon. But, you know, he has not played the mats just yet. So I feel like he's still very far from being able to win. So this time around, the play around the Ice Wall is not to attack, but just keep the Jesmon in the back. You don't want to bring it out and then risk it being, you know, stripped of its sources with Sora Joe, Tommy, Howlin'. And then the Jesmon becomes a lot worse, right? So I think the correct play for sure is keeping Jesmon in the back. And then next turn he's going to pop off. Ice Wall is a one of these days, right? So like once you've seen the Ice Wall, you know you don't have to fear it anymore. And at this point, Jesmon is pretty set up for success in next turn. And as for the blue player, I don't know how he could potentially stop this. He needs 4 swings to win the game, which is not really possible at the moment. Gonna go into the Tommy. I mean, Tommy's cool and all, but I feel like he really needs the mats, right? Digivolve right away just to get the freeze. He did have extra memory to work with from the Sora Joe. Tommy was played this turn though, so he can't attack. But he can at least freeze the one. If he goes into another Korikaku over it, he can freeze the other one as well. Although at this point, I'm not sure it's going to matter. The Jesmon himself is going to do so many swings. Hits into... I couldn't see, it was too fast. But it probably was a Judgment of the Blade, right? Because it went to his hand. Unless he's playing some other wacky option like What's the name of the lightning joust? Something like that, right? I'm not sure though. Okay, gonna go into the Beowulf. Again, can't attack though, so actually super duper awkward. And okay, just Howlin', just best thing to do is keep both the Digimon stunned and hope that the Jesmon is not enough. But with the delicate plan and the judgment, yeah, that's gonna be a yikes. So Jesmon's gonna be swinging. He's gonna have the checks, the piercing, the restand, like 20,000 DP. Now he is gonna need one more attack after this, whether that be a Blitz Omni or a hybrid. We're gonna see what's he's got. He can even get, you know, some recovery as well. The Jesmon coming out very explosive. And Blitz Omni for game, and that's gonna be 2-0 for the Jesmon player. Now, this Jesmon player, he did go on to make top 16. If you guys saw a Jesmon list, it was actually this guy, and he was very nice. I really appreciated him. He helped me when I had to re-sleeve my deck. So shout outs to the Jesmon guy. And thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more games.